Rittenhouse, people. Rittenhouse might be on the... Is that a bad analogy? He might be on the warpath for suing people for defamation. I was wrong in my initial assessment of Johnny Depp suing for defamation, where I said Johnny's going to come out looking bad. Hold on. I was wrong in my initial assessment in which I said Johnny's going to come out looking bad and it's not worth the risk of the trial. Or I didn't say that. I said I might recommend that he not, if I were his lawyer, because of the risks. Johnny probably knew his evidence more than anybody else. In this case, there's no risks. There's no analogous risks to the risks for Johnny Depp suing Amber Heard for defamation. Here, the only question is the costs. Costs compared to the likelihood of success. In law, the question is going to be, let's just say he decides to sue, and let's just say that the statements are objectively false. You know, before we let me pull this one out and share another screen. Stop screen. Let's operate on the basis that the statements are objectively false. And there's one that I had in mind. Objectively false. It was in the Independent. Listen to this. This was in the Independent. This was the day of his acquittal. And I remember seeing it with my own eyes in real time. I couldn't find my tweet. This was the day of the acquittal. The Independent writes as a headline, Kyle Rittenhouse cleared of murder after shooting dead 2 Black Lives Matter protesters. Now, the Independent is still referring to those 3 individuals. Let me see if I can remember their names. There's Grosskreutz, there was Rosenbaum, and there was the third guy. Forget his name. Someone's going to remember his name. To suggest that they were Black Lives Matter protesters is factually incorrect, bordering on stupidity and dishonesty, because there's no way the Independent could not have seen everything. Those people were protesters in the same sense that if I attend a basketball game, I'm a player. Okay, they were not protesters. There were some protesters there, or there were protesters. The 3 who was the jump kick man? No, Grosskreutz, yes. Rosenbaum, Anthony Huber. They were not protesters. They were clearly there for other vandalistic purposes. So fine, but that I don't think is the issue. Underneath, full story. Teenager who shot 3 black men with rifle found not guilty on all charges. Okay. This is a factually incorrect statement. He did not shoot 3 black men. He didn't shoot one, but he shot 3 white men. The question here would be, okay, he didn't shoot 3 black men. He shot 3 white men. This is a factually incorrect statement. The question is going to be, like we saw in James O'Keefe versus CNN, is the truth just as bad as the lie? Is the truth just as bad as the lie as far as reputational damage goes? Is anyone going to say, oh, I didn't, like, it's almost stupid. It's like, I didn't shoot 3 black men. I just shot 3 men. Okay, dude, that doesn't change much in my mind in general, except the implication here is that it was racially motivated, presumably. So the imputation here, the prejudicial aspect of this factually incorrect statement is not that I didn't shoot 3 black men. I just shot 3 men. Well, that doesn't make much of a difference to me. No, the underlying statement here is that it was racially motivated, and the suggestion is that it was racist. He was a racist man who deliberately shot 3 men because of race. Okay, I don't, but then the question is going to be, well, had we just said he shot 3 men with a rifle, found not guilty on all charges, that would be factually correct. Actually, it would not be prejudicial. So this is one of the statements where I think he's got as clear-cut of a claim against anybody just because of the sheer objectivity of the factual inaccuracy, the factual incorrect nature of the statement. The issue is if they want to go after other media and go after things like he had the gun illegally. Okay, it's with Rittenhouse, there's going to be 2 legal questions. Is the truth just as bad as the lie? And or does he have a reputation susceptible of damage? Because once you're accused of a criminal matter, put through trial, the argument is going to be, there's not really much that people can do to damage your reputation, except the obvious retort is going to be, I'm found innocent, legally innocent. To continue to suggest that I'm a murderer, and a racist murderer at that, is an issue. But then it's also going to be a question as to when these statements were made, pre-conviction versus post-conviction. So there's a number of interesting legal questions. It'll be very interesting to see who, well, first of all, if he sues anybody, and who he sues, and on what basis, in virtue of which statements, and when those statements were made. Salmon lawyer, so we'll go through the article. See, I don't think it didn't have enough of the details. Salmon lawyer joins Rittenhouse team, says Zuckerberg, a top target of numerous solid lawsuits. Rittenhouse lawyer says he's confident there are 10 to 15 solid cases against large defendants. You don't want to sue small, insolvent defendants. As everybody, you know, in the Covington Catholic kids defamation case, the Nicholas Salmon, it was like, why don't you sue the native elder Nathan Phillips? I presume he was insolvent or sufficiently insolvent that it would make no difference to go after him. He wouldn't be able to contribute to a settlement, and you probably wouldn't be able to get much out of him by way of judgment, even if you got to a judgment, I presume. The lawyer who represented the Covington Catholic kids, Nicholas Salmon. Okay, so we saw that. He's going to go after him. Here we go. This is it. This is the interesting part. I've been hired. A lot of you are going to be asking why he didn't get to Barnes. I don't know. Maybe I'll ask Barnes. It's an interesting thing. The industry. I've been hired to head the effort to determine whom to sue, when to sue, where to sue. Todd McMurdy, I think you need a shirt, who now represents Rittenhouse, told Fox News Digital in an interview. Yeah, we're going to look at everything that's been said, determine which of those comments are legally actionable, and proceed from there. McMurdy's team said this pretty much assured there's 10 to 15 solid cases against the defendant. And then we get into the story. Let's just see if there's anything more interesting in here. Here we go. Here. So this, well, actually, let's go to the Zuckerberg. Yeah. Let's use, for example, what Facebook and Mark Zuckerberg said about Rittenhouse. They said that he was involved in a mass murder incident, McMurdy explained. This was not a mass murder incident. It was clearly factually false. This is where you're going to have the legal questions, people. And I want to play devil's advocate literally and metaphorically. Zuckerberg is going to say, calling it mass murder. Murder is a legal determination, unlike homicide. Homicide means a death occurring at the hands of someone else. Murder is a legal conclusion as to culpability. So the question is this: if you accuse someone of a crime before conviction, is it defamatory? When Tucker Carlson accused, was it Stormy Daniels or one of the two who tried to extort, in his words, from Donald Trump, when you say it's literally, this is extortion, is it opinion? And is it opinion and not an actual accusation of saying Mr. X is a big P? If it was made before the acquittal, that's going to be exquisitely relevant as well. And I believe these statements were made before the acquittal. Then the question is going to be a mass murder incident as opposed to a mass homicide incident. So I would say, like, if these statements were made before the acquittal, I would imagine Zuckerberg is going to have robust defenses to any such defamation claim, given the factual nature of what actually went down. Because until he's acquitted, it's neither murder nor self-defense. It's a question of what you think the situation is. And it's going to be the same defense as the same defense that I think is valid for Tucker Carlson. When he said these ladies committed extortion, I don't think it's defamatory because I don't think anybody's looking at that and saying it's a legal determination, especially if there has been no trial. So when Zuckerberg comes out and if he said it this way, it's a mass murder incident, there's been no trial, there's been no conviction. So, is it a matter of opinion or is it sufficiently true at that point in time, given the facts that are known? Is this archived? I don't know. Let me put it here. I mean, everything's archived real quick. To call somebody a mass murderer is seriously defamatory, and then to use the power of social media to basically censor any views that would take opposition to that mass murderer statement is a serious effort to destroy his character, and it was seriously mistaken and seriously defamatory. I mean, or it's just seriously opinion up until the time when he gets acquitted. Because if you were convicted, by the way, all of a sudden that statement is no longer defamatory. Now, the social media attack is a totally separate issue. But if hypothetically, if you were convicted and even convicted and then acquitted later, that statement becomes true. So it's the outcome that changes the nature or the potential defamatory nature of that statement. Not clear if it's defamatory at the time it was made, when all that was known is that Kyle Rittenhouse, in fact, killed, not murdered, killed, later determined in self-defense, 2 individuals and shot another. Let's see, here we go. That's the more summarizing of the story. McMurdy added that Zuckerberg is certainly going to be at the top of your list when examining what potentially false statements are legally actionable, because he has an outsized voice. Facebook has an outsized voice, and they can do a lot of damage as compared with somebody maybe who is a small blog with 100 subscribers, but we're going to look everywhere. We're going to look at everything that we have access to and that's been published and decide which ones are actionable. Okay, I think the rest is not interesting. Let's see which politicians. Well, right now we're still looking at quite a few politicians, celebrities, athletes. Whoopi Goldberg. Whoopi Goldberg is on the list. Rittenhouse said on Fox News, Tucker Carlson, she called me a murderer after I was acquitted by a jury of my peers. She went on to still say that. And that is objectively defamatory, in my view. It's going to be a question of whether or not it was hyperbolic opinion, and we all knew that not to take it literally, especially since it was said after the acquittal. But accusing someone of a crime that they did not commit, well. So to be continued. I mean, if that ever were to get to a civil trial, can you imagine the level of interest that would follow with that? Oh, I missed the super chat. Let me see if I cannot find it. Oh, there we go. I can still bring it up. Thank goodness. Okay. John, is this the one? I'm sorry for bringing that up. That was not my intention. I am late to the show and missed the precursor. The second super chat is dedicated to Barnes because he laughed at and keeps saying my election fornication post. Well, a good joke is a good joke.